Welcome back, everybody, to the Squatchers Lounge podcast. Pardon me. That's right. We're back here Wednesday night, 8 p.m. live on YouTube. I'm praying my microphone doesn't take a crap on me in the middle of all this, but we'll figure it out if it does. That's right. We're talking about the scenic Bigfoot Byway here in California. Tonight here on the show. So I'm here, you're there. That makes this whole thing absolutely spectacular. And my bird is going to drive me absolutely insane if he doesn't shut up. We'll hope he takes the message, the hint here in a moment. We are live tonight here. We are talking about the Pi Valley area of Highway 50. We do have a Quasi Theory Rewind and a brand new camping tips for stupids. So let's see where we can get this all started tonight. A little bit of the news thing that was going on is it seems to be the talk of the town today. Seems to be this FBI information release. Yeah. That kid has got a badonkadonk. But that's not what we're talking about. Apparently, the FBI releases their Bigfoot file to set out the background information concerned and publish reports that the FBI has analyzed hair in connection with the search for Sasquatch, aka Bigfoot, and to recommend that requested hair examination received 11/24/76 from none other than Peter Byrne, Director of the Bigfoot Information Center, and exhibition be granted. So apparently back in 1974, Peter Byrne had talked to these guys to see what was going on. He requested some information about some supposed examination that they did, but they didn't do any. But as they moved on, apparently he submitted some hair samples to be examined, and the FBI actually agreed. So the FBI vault is what's been released today. The Federal Bureau of Investigation has actually put it out on their website. This 22-page document about the Bigfoot Information Center and exhibition and the information that went along with all of that. Basically, what it came down to in the end was that the FBI had indeed examined the hair themselves, and they came up with no known animal as the result of it. As you can see here, the vault.fbi.gov/Bigfoot would put you directly into the link that has all of this information. I have not gone and perused all 22 pages of the document as of yet, but there isn't anything really fantastical in it, and I'll tell you why is because it's actually not new. The Black Vault had actually released this information some time ago. Again today, they had put this information out on their webpage, theblackvault.com. You can find it on their front page. It basically goes through the entire timeline of what's been going on with this particular record and the study. But there really just isn't anything more in it than, yeah, we did this. Yeah, we couldn't find anything that matched up with the DNA. But at the same token, that's DNA from techniques from 1974. It's nothing has been done in the new modern era. So there really isn't going to be a whole lot to find out about it, but it's cool. Go through it, check it out, give it a read. It's out there now. If you want to contact me on Facebook, or you can check a link for it. The Big Sky Bigfoot group also linked up the FBI documents themselves as well. So don't forget about Operation Pi Valley. That's right. The Redbubble campaign at redbubble.com/people/BigfootWorks will get you into all of our campaigns. Operation Pie Pie Valley is next week, June 12th to the 16th, 2019. And also, don't forget, if you like what we do here, how about becoming a patron, joining us on patreon.com/Cryptid Corner. $1 general admission will get you in to all of the new content that goes up monthly. That's right. We are about to do a big release on that as well and get everything caught up. So join the rest of the crowd. That's right. Patreon.com/Cryptid Corner. And that's enough shameless self-promotion for one show. All right. We're going to get us into that early Quasi Theory so that I can go and put a cover over this predator or this pterodactyl in the background that doesn't seem to get the message. And the person I sent the message to come and help me, well, they didn't get it either. So we'll be back right after this Quasi Theory. And now, Quasi Theories from a Quasi Scientist with your host, Dean Cooper.
Last week, I told you about the real haunted house my family lived in for a few years and the small second-floor bedroom that my siblings and I kept our hoard of toys in. We called that room the junk room because that's what it usually looked like. I also mentioned the larger bedroom on the second floor where my next younger brother and I slept. My bed was at the end of the bedroom away from the door. My brother's was, obviously, next to the door. The junk room was down a short hallway to the right, maybe 15 feet away from our bedroom door. The stairs down to the first floor were immediately to the left of our door. The stairs to the basement were under that staircase. The basement door had a hook and loop lock that we always used at night because the basement door to the outside was a classic old farmhouse-style slanted cellar door that could be easily broken into. Our dad worked nights and my mom feared burglars. One night, around 2 a.m, I was woken by the sound of the junk room door opening, which, as I said last week, we kids kept locked from the outside. I heard the sound of a large dog, German Shepherd size or larger, walk from the junk room into the bedroom, its toes tapping heavily as it walked. We had no such pet dog. We had a toy Manchester Terrier, which is a Chihuahua-sized little black dog. This big dog, toes tapping, went straight to my brother's bed and sniffed at him loudly. He did not wake up. I then heard it circling tightly for a few seconds and lie down. I was petrified. Not the least because there was a large oval rug right where it somehow tapped its toes before laying down. It lay there for about 20 minutes, then got up and went down the stairs, toes still tapping away. It then went down the basement stairs. The stairs to the second floor were fully carpeted, yet those toes tapped. It went down the basement stairs, though the basement door was locked. A few minutes later, I cautiously got out of bed and looked at the junk room door. It was closed and locked. I carefully went down the stairs, woke my mother to see if she'd heard anything like a big dog walking around. She had heard nothing, and a little dog was sleeping at her feet under the blankets. She said I was nuts and went back to sleep. I went to the basement door, unlocked it, turned the lights on, looked down the stairs, saw no dog. Turned the lights off, closed the door, and locked it. No way in hell was I going down those stairs and check for stray ghostly doggies. If you missed last week's Squatcher's Lounge podcast, go watch it to hear the first part of this story. Or you can read the text of last week's story, as well as the text of all my quasi-scientist blatherings at bydin.com. That's BHAIDIN.com.
And just like that, that's our Quasi Theory of the week. All right. So with that, brings us time up for a camping tips for stupids. Yes, I am. You have no idea what I just accomplished in 3 minutes. People would be amazed if they actually knew. All right, folks, here we go.
Camping tips for stupids. Tip number 81. Camping season is in full swing. The days are long and the temps are warming up, which brings upon us one thing: bug season. You all can worry about the other bugs like mosquitoes, flies, ants, But my arch nemesis are wasps, but more importantly, bees. Because I'm personally allergic to bee stings, I keep 2 EpiPens in my medical kit. Without them, I would probably blow up like a balloon and explode in a pink fleshy mist. Boom. For wasp stings, I'm okay. They just hurt like a motherfucker. So I keep a sting kit on hand and ready to go. I keep 2 different sting kill brand external big word, disposable swabs that you bend and shake and rub a cotton swab end on the sting site, and cloth wipes. Both give fast relief from pain and burning sensations of the stings. Also good for ant bites too. So keep a kit for stings when out camping. And remember to keep your campsite free from things that'll attract them, like leaving wet foods or sugary drinks out in the open. Because if I see that shit next to my damn campsite, I'm burning the whole damn forest down. I super hate getting stung. This has been Camping Tips for Stupids. Remember to spay and neuter your idiot population.
Well, there you have it, folks. Spay and neuter your idiot populations because, well, it's for the betterment of all mankind. Wow, I can't believe. Anyhow, here we are. We are back at it. It is time to give some shout outs to the Hangouts. What's happening, you people out there in mysterious internet land? Miss Natalie Smith, she's hanging out with us tonight. How you doing there? Hope you're feeling good. Chris Rico, that's right. Mr. Rico is in the house. Tim McCune is in the house. How you doing, Tim? Squatch Box, I hope you're feeling well as well. Mr. Christopher celebrated a birthday last week. That's right. He's driving all over town now. Watch out, mama. Gonna have to get him a truck soon. Spike Jeff is in the house, along with Frank G. Hey, long time no see live. Maria Allegria. Hello there, Bella. Glad you are with us tonight. Keith Harden. Hey, we're the monkeys. I think people think we monkey around. Shane Barber's in the house, along with Lance Windsor. That's right, our Great White Northern component. That's right. Okay, Aaron Duncan's in the house with us. There's our quasi-scientist, Mr. Dean Cooper. Wow, there's a lot of people in the house tonight. There's Hunter. Hello there, Hunter. Glad you're with us tonight as well. All right, Travis Bumpy there, made it back again with us. Glad you are with us. Oh, well, there it is, folks, all over the screen and the keyboard. And there he is, Mr. Ginn. How you doing there, champ? All right. I see there's your Hobo Man 5 made it to the arena. And Norm and Linda, hello there from Texas, back at you. Why you come now? Because it was showtime. That's why. So glad you are with us as well. Amy Dickinson, hello there. Glad you're with us. Mysterious Journals by Dee Dee is in the house as well. Let's see here. I'm getting to the bottom here. Can Squanch, there we go. She's in the house with us tonight. I think it's a she. It shows pink. I would assume it's a she. If you're orange, does that mean you're trans? I'm not sure how all this works. I'm really not. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Robert Fago. Hey there, champ. Yeah, it's French, people. Okay, it's French. Let's see here. I know there's more people down here. Let's see here. Richard Barfield. Hello there, sir. Glad you are with us tonight as well. Ricky, Rock City, Marco. Holy crap. He's finally made it in live for a change. Chris Cullinan's in the house. Collier Wilmus is in the house. That's right. Our spooky guy from another mother. Something like that. That's right. Let's see here. Where are we at now? Brown dwarf's in the house. There's a brown dwarf as well. And JR Fitzwater. Hello there. Glad you have joined us as well. And I think I have reached the bottom of the barrel. That's what it seems like as well. So if you haven't said hi to me, I can't say hi to you because I don't know that you're out there. All right, people. So here's how we have it tonight. Tonight we've kind of gone by the wayside of talking about tracks because I wanted to bring up specifically where the expedition is going next week. That's right. There will be no show next week because we will be going to places like this. That's right. The El Dorado National Forest, the El Dorado Bigfoot Watch is going into the Pi Valley, which is right off of Highway 50. This one is from 2003. The location was, of course, as we're talking about, Myers, California, Highway 50. My wife, 2 children, and I were driving on Highway 50 westbound, leaving South Lake Tahoe at 9:55. We just passed the agriculture inspection station in the town of Myers, California, when both my wife and I saw simultaneously a large animal crossing the road about 100 yards in front of us. I thought it was a bear, but wasn't sure, so I asked my wife. Her response was most unusual. She said she saw it walking on 2 legs and that it looked like a monkey, about 5.5 foot tall with light brown fur. She has better eyesight than me, so I questioned her further. What else did you notice? I asked, very curious. She said that it walked rather slowly across the road and that it was definitely an animal, like a monkey, and walked like a monkey would walk. It disappeared into the tree lines before we could get close enough for a better look. I went to turn around and look some more, but my wife didn't want to do so. So we kept driving. That's when I had a chance to question her more. My wife said has had laser surgery on her eyes, so that must mean she's got x-ray vision. No, I wear corrective lenses, which most unfortunately I wasn't wearing at the moment, and that's why she was able to see it better than I. So there you have it. That's the first one from 2003. It's a road crossing. We look back here the winter of 2004. I went fishing with my girlfriend at the Stumpy Meadows last winter. There's a reservoir there. That's where we actually had our big camp out last year, was at the Black Oak Campground on the Stumpy Reservoir. We had been there about 5 days out of the week, early in the morning, and we would arrive to get the line in the water as much as possible. The rest of the time would be looking for gold. We mostly stuck around the dam and the spillway in my gold fever, waiting to catch a trout. With my fly pole, got me to wander down along the spillway. The whole time I couldn't shake the bad feeling I had when we had it. It was the hair on the back of your neck feeling of being watched. It was at the very bottom of the speedway in the middle of the stream, standing on a rock fishing. My girlfriend was about 20 feet away panning. She said, "Something, let's get out of here. Something's watching us." I told her I was catching it for a while now too. So we climbed out of our little spot onto a service road that ran alongside the spillway. Good God, this is a nightmare to continue reading. I am going to skip that one. Sorry, we've actually poked through that one before. The Lake Tahoe Basin is just north of where the Pi Valley is. In this particular case, the year was 2005. They were at the Lake Tahoe Basin while walking on the beach looking for pretty stones. My friend noticed this print on the beach in the gravel that really caught our eye. The depth of the print was nearly 3 inches, and the stone at the bottom had been incredibly compressed as if done with great weight. Other prints were visible, but not as good as that one. Now, part of the reason that I wanted to go into the Pi Valley specifically is because out there at Stumpy Reservoir, where we went last year, it was burned out a couple of years before we went on that expedition out there. And unfortunately, the Forest Service has everything closed out there. I mean, everything was closed. All the roads were gated. We really couldn't get in anywhere. So we found a new location to go into the Pai Valley, which is where we're going on this expedition. Now, last year, all of the forest between Stumpy Meadows and this new green zone in the Pai Valley actually burnt down last year. So all the animals that were kind of in that green zone now got pushed further south into this the Pai Valley that's left untouched by the fires. Further south of the Pai Valley also got burned out. So basically, there are 3 green zones of animals that will be existing on top of each other inside of this one area, all competing for food. So there's a good chance that the number of Bigfoot that would usually be in this area has now tripled compared to what it would be. And there should be competition for territory going on. So the opportunity for vocals is really what I'm hoping for. I'm really hoping to kind of stir up the crap, as they say, with some calls and some nighttime, some night ops, and we'll see what happens from there. Wrights Lake to the Enchanted Pools in 2005. They got up in the early afternoon and hiked upstream from Wrights Lake. They saved the make to the Desolation Wilderness if they needed to keep hiking for a while. He ended up getting lost, but he could hear the stream flowing over the rocks to the north. So he walked another half mile or so and located the stream. Below him, about 35 feet down, a granite cliff was a stream that did have a pool in it, and right on the tree line. I thought, what a beautiful place. Well, as I started to drift off to sleep, I heard what could only be described as a very low rumbling growl. And when I go into a wilderness area, especially a place I know has bears really thick, I always carry a handgun with me. On this occasion, it was a 45 compact. But when I heard the growl, it really scared the crap out of me because it was so close. I jumped up with my 45 in hand and looked out the top of my screen mesh of the tent. I could see a dark mass about 4.5 feet tall, right at the edge of the tree line, 6 feet from my head. I yelled some really loud obscenities and started climbing out of my tent. And once I was clear of the door, I brought up my pistol and fired into a dead tree a few feet away from what I thought was a big black bear. As soon as the pistol went off, it turned and ran back into the brush. But it didn't seem to go away that far, and that's what concerned him. Bears will usually run like hell for a long time until they get a shot that close. This seemed to go about 50 feet or so into the very thick brush. I could hear it thrashing about as it moved deeper into the trees, but then it just stopped. It went all quiet for about 15 minutes, so I tried going back to bed. Shortly after, I started hearing what sounded like some large rocks hitting the water just above the pool I was camped beside. It would happen every couple of minutes or so, and the sound of not only the splash, but also of the rock hitting other rocks submerged in the shin-deep water, that cracking sound that really concerned him, thinking the bear could be circling the campsite and not to get him from a different angle. You know, one of the things that I've noticed about a lot of these here in the El Dorado record database is they're not all monsters. They're not all 8 foot tall. They're not 9 foot tall giant creatures from 5.5 foot tall, 4.5 foot tall, 6 foot tall. You know, these are all really reasonable expectations for juvenile or, you know, just in young adult age of a Sasquatch. You know, that might even be those rogues that people talk about that, you know, when they get to be so old, they got to stop humping their sisters and daddy kicks them out of the clan. You know, something has to happen. And that's where a lot of those size creatures actually come from. Let's see here. We can grab another one from 2007, a U.S. Service botanist outside of Phillips. While hiking off trail in the El Dorado County, California, 60 feet north of the Banyan Meadow Trail, at about 10:30, I saw a tall, dark figure peering around a large red fir stump. This was from perhaps 100 feet away. I quickly walked up to the stump, but there was no one there. It would have been possible to move uphill away from me using the large stump as cover, but only a very athletic person could have managed this in the time available. Moving then uphill and to the southeast, I regained the Byron Meadow Trail and then noted a large footprint, which I photographed the next day next to my two-way radio. It's about twice the length of my foot, a size 12 boot size. I do not know the source of this print, but it's where the rapid retreat actually occurred. So there's a botanist from the U.S. Forestry Service. He goes, I don't know what it was. It was dark. It was hairy. It left the footprint. You know, people talk about ghosts and Bigfoot, you know, that they're kind of the same thing. It's like, no, ghosts don't leave tracks. Ghosts don't leave footprints. And here's another one here. Class A sighting from July of 2009. Summertime, July. The wife and the husband were driving on Highway 50, and they noticed an 8 to 10 foot hairy creature on the side of the road, just standing there looking at us while we were driving home. We have driven that highway enough to know that this was not a usual thing to see. We've seen several deers only, but I couldn't believe what I've just seen. I'll never drive the highway at night ever again. It really scared me. I'm just curious if any other drivers noticed this big creature on the side of the road. The time was about 10 p.m. to 10:30, heading on the side towards Sacramento. It was 3 to 5 miles between the Silver Fork and the Twin Bridges. And again, that's right off of that California Highway 50 byway. And this road, you know, I guess if you rode up and down it enough, eventually you're going to see one. Maybe we should start doing that. You know, it's like 2.5 hours out 50 to Tahoe each way. So that's a 5-hour round trip. Maybe we can start organizing like daily trips to go out there with people. I'm not really sure. One last one here. 2 campers take photographs of what they see in the trees in the El Dorado National Forest, July 2014. Sometime in the night, probably 1 to 4 a.m., my girlfriend woke me up saying that she heard someone jumping into the river about 50 feet away, and it sounded like the person's legs were sloshing against the water, the way it would sound if they were walking fast through thigh-deep water. Sure enough, a few seconds after she whispered this to me, I heard the noise too. She was accurate in her description of the sound. I had my light in my hand, type of mag light, and stood out my tent, spotlighting the riverbank and the forest around us. I saw nothing, so I called out that there were people. Please go the other way. Still heard nothing, and after we didn't hear anything more unusual sounds, what struck me as odd was, why would anybody be walking in freezing cold like glacier runoff water in the dark morning hours, not anywhere near the trails? And not anywhere near any roads. We had to hike to this spot. It's a mile from our car down the steep, heavy forested hillside full of the underbrush. So next morning we went for a long hike, and it was our last day camping. We had just gotten back to the car. When I looked back at the tree line we had just come out of, sort of a large last glance, I will miss you type of look, and I saw what I first thought was a black bear in the very top, literal top of a 60 to 70 foot pine tree. It was staying still, but I could see it was wiggling a little bit, almost like positioning itself comfortably, and it looked like it was hugging the tree like a bear. But then I saw a second bear in the same spot as this one on the tree to the right next to it, and at some point about 500 feet from these things and these trees that they were in. I was able to take many photographs of these bears, and I have them on my phone, but nobody seems to be able to see what I can see. On closer inspections, they were not bears. I showed a few friends and family to see what I see. It appears that there's uniform jet black silhouette, large, lean, human, man-like figures in the pictures. You know, I used to think that heavy things couldn't climb up pine trees until I saw that video on YouTube that showed the black bear mama, or it might even have been a grizzly bear chasing another one clear up to the top of the tree and just shredding branches on the way up there, but sure enough, they were there. So my plans of climbing a tree to get away from the bears, well, that's not going to work out so good for me. Now, is it? And that, folks, is going to do it for a short edition of the Squatchers Lounge podcast. I appreciate everybody being out here tonight. We are going to have a Bigfoot campfire story to wrap this up with tonight. And I want to thank everybody for being here. We will not be here next week, but you will hear details of the show or of the expedition as we start to come out of the valley. I will start to post stuff to the lounge. So go to facebook.com/groups/SLounge, and that will put you into our group. Click join, and we will make sure that you will make sure that you get the latest updates from the Pi Valley. And with that, enjoy this Bigfoot campfire story. And yes, there will be an after hangout. Ah, yes. Brings. Yeah, of course it is. All right, we're gonna try this again. Just a moment here, people. Well, sorry for that. The audio system has crashed a moment. We will try and get the Bigfoot campfire story back up for you in just a moment. Oh, good grief. It's just going to be one of those nights. It has not been a good week, and today was not a good day. But I will give me just another 10 seconds here, and hopefully we will be good to go. All right, let's give it a shot. What the hell is that? I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure that was a Bigfoot. Let me tell you a story. Well, this story I heard on a canoe trip through the George Washington National Forest in Virginia. We had tied off for the second night and set up camp. Just before dusk, another canoe with two locals joined us. While talking around the fire, I asked that usual question: have you ever seen a Bigfoot out here? Let's hear their story. Well, Tim and I have been coming up here all our lives. We usually come up and fish the river for a few days as the seasons change. Well, here 3 years ago during our spring trip, we had something happen that we'd never told anyone before. The first day we got dropped off by my dad when we put in at the North Drop location. The day was kind of foggy at 6 a.m. and it looked like it was going to rain on us, but that never stopped us before. So we went ahead and loaded up our gear and got into the canoe and said our goodbyes, and Dad watched us as we paddled off down the river. The morning was kind of crappy, but the first good fishing spot was a couple of hours paddled downstream, so we just took to the task. And we finished drifting along most of the day and put about an hour in before dark for camp. Well, we camped right by the riverside. We hung up a tarp and just unrolled a couple of bedrolls and slept right out at the edge of the tree line for the night. Not much really went on. About halfway through the night, we both woke up to what sounded like an air siren raid going off almost. 4 times, then 5, then stopped. Everything around us kind of went silent. I'd have to say, in all the years we'd been coming up here, we'd heard some weird things at night, but nothing like this. Neither of us went back to sleep that night. And the next morning, while cooking breakfast, we heard voices on the other side of the river. So afterwards, we paddled over to talk to them before pushing on. We asked if they had heard the calls the night before, and the woman said they were so scared that they were getting off the river and going home because the calls came from right behind their camp, Something was grunting and growling at them from the bushes for hours. We talked to him for a few more minutes, and Tim and I finally decided we'd push on, and we paddled on downstream for quite a while. We noticed that there weren't too many people to be found. Kind of unusual for this time of year, but it was a little bit on the rainy side. We caught a few fish on the way downstream, and we went ahead and cleaned them up to eat for dinner. And again, we pushed on in just about an hour before dark to set up camp. Only this time we camped on the opposite side of the river, the same side that the screams had come from the night before. We tied up the canoe, got a camp set up, started a fire to cook the fish on. The night had fallen fast, and the moon was about half full and on the rise when we heard the first weird howl, almost like a monkey in a zoo. We called out to see if humans would reply, but instead we just got a really loud wood knock, like somebody banged on the side of a tree with a branch. Well, I'd walked down to the river's edge to clean up a little bit, and that's when I noticed a set of weird-looking footprints along the bank. Well, I laid my boot up next to one of them, and it was far bigger than my size 12 Triple E. So I called over to Tim to bring the big spotlight, and he quickly caught up. We followed the tracks up the bank as they turned into the wood line, and that's when we heard another strange whoop sound come from back towards camp. So we turned around quickly and made our way back. When we got back to camp, everything had been messed with. Our packs, the fish was gone, even Tim's bedroll was missing. So we tore off into the woods looking for anyone that had been there. Nothing is exactly what we found once again. But we turned back towards camp, and that's when we saw it. Big hairy creature sitting up in the tree just staring down at us. Well, it was bigger than any man I'd ever seen before, covered in hair, eyes just as dark as you could imagine. Well, when Tim finally lit the thing up with the big spotlight, it shaded its eyes, jumped down from the tree, and it tore off into the night, just crashing through the branches until we couldn't hear it anymore. Well, the night went dead quiet after that. We made our way back to the campsite and boosted up the fire just as raging as we could make it, and we sat quietly trying to figure out what to do next. Well, as the night went on, we went ahead and gathered up and packed up things that we could find. We were just waiting for first light to push off down the river. Pickup some point was still 6 hours away, and as soon as it was light enough on the river, that's exactly what we did. Well, Tim and I talked about it the rest of the trip down the river, and we decided, well, we'd keep it between us until someone asked about it. And now here you are, the first to hear our story. Two men with a lifetime of river experience found themselves face to face with a Bigfoot in a tree and lived to tell the story some 15 years later. Thanks for listening. I'm Reverend Jeff, and may the Squatch be with you. A few late arrivals get a hello. Mr. Dave Jackson finally made it to the house. Ladder 7, hello there. Glad you made it. Then the Reverend Matthew Gaines, my man. I wish you well. I hope you feel better. And everybody out there, may you feel the healing light of whatever you believe. Until next time, may the Squatch be with you.